Hi, welcome to Venture Visionaries episode. I'm really thrilled to welcome and invite Mr. Vamsi Korra, a visionary entrepreneur, seasoned investor, and a philanthropist. He's the founder of Abairo Capital. He's had 20 years impressive career in financial services in the US and a tenure as a successful entrepreneur through Gati Analytics. Vamsi, today we are going to dive into your entrepreneurial journey, your vision for Abairo Capital, and your insights on building and scaling transformatory ventures. We are really honored to have you on this episode, and welcome.
Thank you so much. I can't say how thrilled I am to be back in T-Hub ecosystem. I'll explain what do you mean by to be back, but right now I'm super thrilled.
Thank you so much. Let us start with getting to know you more. Can you please walk us through your career journey and what led you to launch Abairo Capital?
Right. So I am from AP, in combined state, from a small farming community near Rajahmundry, and went to government schools a long time ago, and went to US. But between that education and US, I also worked as a marine engineer on cargo ships of all the places for a few years, roamed around the world. So from being a sailor engineer to technologist, working in corporate America, uh, and be an entrepreneur, building Gati, and now as an investor. So I kept on kind of changing my career in kind of in multiple different directions, but I always kept engineering and technology at the core of it. I hope to continue this journey and not only build more and bootstrap more companies on our own, but also help many more entrepreneurs like me realize their full potential.
Thank you, Vamsi. That was an incredible journey with a lot of ups and downs, I can say. Have your roots in India and your journey of work experience in US kind of formulate your investment philosophy as well?
Yeah. So I think many people, our Indian engineer going to US or UK or some other places and being successful in building corporate careers or building companies, this has become quite of an norm these days than an exception. 10, 15 years ago, there are a lot of great examples from Satya to any number of entrepreneurs who build great companies. I think you will hear this from almost every one of them. That would be my take on this is Indian family roots, Indian communities, the close knit communities, and our education system gives you enough tools and also enough emotional intelligence to not only build and deliver great platforms and services and products, but it also gives something that people may not recognize readily, which is, I would say, that it helps you bring in a heightened emotional intelligence along with your engineering and technology talent. It is the same case with me. I grew up in a large family with 15, 16 cousins, and in a small community, as I said. It gives you a lot of tools without even knowing that you are gaining those tools while growing up. So the beauty, joy, and the pain and the drama of dealing with humongous characters around you always shapes your ability to adapt. I think that helped in that sense with India, but it is still basic. What working in ecosystem that US corporate life provides you is, it gives you a lot of tools and the structure and very objective thinking about coming to work and delivering stuff. Whether you are working for a large corporate like I did for 20 years, or you are building your own company. US, no, now it's common everywhere. So I shouldn't say as if it's only for USA now. Our companies are doing great because they adopted a lot of this. But for me, in formative years, working in US corporates gave me a structure to my thought and applying skills every day. And making reasonable goals for yourself and your teams, and approaching those goals through a disciplined execution and very fact and data driven decision making. So all those things that are needed again for building a great corporate career or building great companies. So that's entire structure and discipline that I acquired through last 25 years of working in US.
Brilliant. So you brought about two very important pillars for building companies: adaptability and discipline to scale them.
Correct.
I also believe you had an association with T-Hub even before the launch of your fund,
Right.
after which we hope to have much stronger collaboration. But why don't you tell us more about T-Hub and yourself?
Right. So even though I'm not a founder of T-Hub, but there is a WhatsApp group that is created with that name as T-Hub Founders. Not sure how I ended up there, but I'm still part of
Oh, that's
the WhatsApp group. I'm sure there are thousands of people now. But in between 2010 and 14, we moved back as family through an kind of an expat assignment to build what they call as global capability centers, GCC, for one of the largest financial services company in US in the city. During a tenure of about 3 years, I was very involved with T-Hub, and we actually made few strategic kind of I shouldn't say MOUs, but we actually helped the startups to come into an US corporate ecosystem. I personally, mentored a couple of companies and gave them opportunities in the corporate world. And the second phase of that is when I started Gati in 2017. In fact, our first office space was with T-Hub in Triple IT. It's a small area where we had like two, three chairs, like I see with so many of these startups here, with like four of us starting our journey. And I can't say how thrilled I am, and how much of positive influence I have had with the ecosystem here. And when I saw this building coming up, it just made me feel very proud and happy and excited about coming back. And I had no doubt when I thought about Abiro, and I really wanted to have office start here. No matter if I had to work from and the team had to work from cafeteria, we would have worked. Fortunately, we do have an office now. But being in this building, in this ecosystem, and working under great team and leadership with Sujit and MSR and so on, and bumping into these really strong technology and business leaders in this building, that makes me extremely excited to get up and come to work. So hoping to continue the engagement not only as a tenant of the real estate, but hoping to contribute quite a bit to other entrepreneurs who are coming through.
Thank you. I think we can proudly then call you as a startup from T-Hub as well,
Yep,
from your
it is,
Gati, and
yeah.
looking forward for you to take the other role as an investor into T-Hub
Absolutely.
startups.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, thank you. Coming to Aviro Capital, you mentioned Aviro represents initiation and motion and invites Scrapy founders to live a Lumi life.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate more on what it means and the vision that drives Aviro?
Yeah, so you are calling it Abiro and I'm calling it Abiro, which is fine. I am going to, we are going to have a lot of fun with the name. I think by the time everybody settles down on one pronunciation, it will take a couple of years. I'm okay with it. It came from a couple of different words. Abiro really represents initiating something and moving, constant motion. So it is about coming up with ideas, bootstrapping, and hustling through your goals of building something. And even with ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, building a impactful company, what entrepreneurs typically, the even some of the people who are not super successful according to their own standard, but a good entrepreneur, even if their company and the product is not successful, can attest to this is there is an absolute constant motion. That differentiates a good entrepreneur versus others. Honestly, I always saw this founder role as something that you make very small incremental movements forward every single day, that results in such a beautiful product or a company. So for outsiders it may seem as if this all came about with a grand vision, and founders thought about this on day one, they delivered on day 100, and some other founders do, but most others they improvise, they listen to market, they listen to changing dynamics of finances and customer behavior and their own talents around them, and they adopt, and they make those incremental movements towards their goal. Sometimes even the goals change, they still adapt and deliver something. And that's what we want to represent: initiate something and constantly keep moving. So that's what Ibero represents. Lumi is something that's very personal to me. I think you will probably, I can't pull this down. I even tattooed this on my arm. So the Lumi is really something that I don't know how, when it came to me in last few years of Gati's journey through its up and down. So it is about learning, unlearning, movement, move, or and inspire. So the point, I want to apply, I hope to apply for rest of my life at personal space as well as in work, is you as a person, if you constantly learn something every day in every moment, and you also have enough strength in you to understand your weakness and not so great qualities in you, and learn, have the strength to unlearn those habits, are what we call as the baggage that need to let go. And while doing all of this, as I mentioned before, you keep moving all the time. And while you do all these three, you are bound to be extremely happy and successful. And when you do that, you have something to share with the communities around you, your teams, your customers, everybody, and keep doing it and inspire others to also be to get to their best. So that's what Lumi means.
Oh, that's great. So agility of a founder is very important, is what you're
Yeah.
trying to bring about. That's great. Now, within Abiro, what type of startups are you trying to look at? Are there any sectors or models that excite you more?
Yeah, I mean, I am, yeah, as you can see in my profile, last 25 years has been with financial services companies and data related technologies. But as an investor, we want to start with, pretty open to investing in agrotech to space tech, especially in Indian startup ecosystem, because I see exciting opportunities in across all the fields. However, one thing, this is again not highly scientific at this point, and we are trying to get there through additional research done through third party companies that will help us formulate our strategy. But I do feel that the consumer service focused use cases or business models are extremely well developed in India. We, in last 7 to 10 years, whether it is our digital payment system, which is probably the best in class in the world today, and how we are using technology, mobile technology, and internet 2.0, and the payment system to improve consumer experience, so called the B2C. So that is kind of very well matured in many domains, whether it is travel, our service, our simple of having a service at home, things like that. However, for an economy like this to grow fivefold in next 25 years or so, you cannot help but think that there will be humongous disruptions in a very positive way on the back end of these front end service, which is building something, manufacturing, creating products, creating content. That's number one. and the second one is, channeling all those and supplying, what we have, supply chain and the logistics aspect of bringing those products and whatever you build as stuff and content to consumer. That back end system I still see as not very efficient in many ways. Uh, any of us now, we travel on our national highways. A lot of places highways have improved tremendously in last 10 years. That is very visible. But you also see extremely old fashioned way of um, moving people and goods on these world class highways, and they not only are practically clogging the highways, so to speak, but in a kind of in a different way, it is also slowing our progress towards building great products and using optimized channels to supply those products and services to consumers. So we are going to focus more on that back-end systems, and I'm sure there are great startups who are all which are already building this, and we are going to help them really scale in a big way.
That's great. That's great that you have interest in this area that's fairly untouched and also very,
Correct.
very need for improvement for sure. Now, since your fund would be investing both in India and the US, do you see to foster the cross-border
Yep.
collaboration between the startups?
Yes. So I talked about this, India specific scenario just now about products and services and content reaching to consumers, the back end part of it. US is fairly well organized, but there are a lot of opportunities in similar area where manufacturing and logistics could use lot of help and will be revolutionized, especially using these Gen AI models that everybody is after nowadays, right? Including healthcare in US. Healthcare in US is about a 3 trillion economy out of 12 trillion. It's like 25% or so of entire economy. Everybody knows there's a lot of wastage, there is a lot of redundancy, highly unoptimized way of engaging hospital systems and the patients and so on. So a lot of big companies and small companies are trying to create optimized process flows using Gen AI models and tools and so on. So we are going to see whether we can find great opportunities to build those products super quickly from India and take to US market and leverage. Again, we are no different from many other VC companies and the PE firms which are trying to do the same thing. So everybody, it's pretty obvious that there are synergies there. However, apart from this, what me and the team are going to be very focused on is there is always better way of doing a business that is extremely mature. You take a look at banking. Banking is extremely matured both in US and India, but there's always better way of building a platform that helps a bank being compliant and stay out of trouble, so to speak. And there are companies in US. In fact, there are two companies in Hyderabad itself that we already are speaking to, who have done tremendous work in this space of keeping financial services companies, cross-border businesses compliant with latest regulations and again the compliance rules and so on. So we could actually scale that to existing highly matured business in US. I know it is little counterintuitive because you would look at again highly structured and a highly successful business model like this having opportunities, but there is always an opportunity to optimize and improvise an existing business process, and that's where I do see a much more faster alignment and synergies that can happen with a startup in Hyderabad, Bangalore, somewhere to a bank in Cleveland or Columbus or somewhere. So I'm hoping to bring those together, help benefit on the customers as well as the entrepreneurs.
Well, I think you alluded to a few points which are unique to Abairo Capital, but what would you say overall, how it's differentiated from other funds?
We are kind of different in three ways. One is we were the founders. I built a company, and about 40 plus limited partners and operating partners and advisors that we gathered for this fund. All of them are technologists, engineers, and entrepreneurs on their own. They build their own products and companies. You know Repeatedly in last 20 years. So we do feel the anxieties and the pain and joy of being an entrepreneur, and that's what we are different from. And on that note, at a personal level, and I speak about my team and even my investors. Our goal is not to be known as next greatest VC firm or VC investors. We are starting small, and I know that we are going to repeat this success multiple times in next 25 30 years, or whatever. But we are going to be very focused on being recognized as bootstrapping our own companies and helping 100 entrepreneurs realize their full potential in the marketplace. So we are not approaching this all about that financial engineering and financial the genius of managing finances, which are it's a lot of value for that. I'm not discounting, but we'll be very very focused on building companies and maximizing the value. That's number one. Number two is we are gathering a tremendous value driven advisory group. MSR, who was ex CEO, and a great name to be connected with. He just joined as our advisor, and we are signing up another five advisors in US who were managed huge financial services companies in US. I can't name a couple of them now because they are still in the due diligence and approval process. But we are bringing in pretty strong, highly intellectual, highly experienced senior leaders who are well recognized in the industry to our board of advisors, and that helps in the previous scenario of taking an Indian company or Indian product, India-based company and India-based product, and giving them access to US market. We can do that very very quickly and very in a large scale.
I must say, we are very proud to have Aviro Capital based here in Hyderabad. How do you see Aviro playing a role in shaping the growing ecosystem, startup ecosystem here?
I think there are obviously especially I'll talk about overall India and Hyderabad. The Indian ecosystem, as we all know, it's pretty obvious, is doing very well. Good ideas and good founders are being chased by world class VC and PE firms all the time. We see these success stories of attracting investment every day. I think Hyderabad. I keep learning. Whomever I speak, it's still the space is little subdued here. The action is there, but not as much as Bangalore and other places. There can be any number of reasons. I have to still understand the very detailed aspect of it. But I have a feeling that pretty conservative way of investing styles that exist in these communities here probably is causing founders not having enough access to the capital. However, it's a simple aspect of risk and reward and understanding. T-Hub and its leadership, and in fact, our political and government leaders are doing tremendous work in changing that environment quite a bit. And I'm going to be very focused on doing my bit in reaching out to as many people as possible through T-Hub and other means, in convincing that this is as viable, if not much better, an investment product as much as real estate and other areas that our traditional home offices and other aspects invest in this space. In my mind, I'm always visualizing this, that on one day the gates will open, and people will start seeing investing in startups as one of the things that they have to do in their portfolio. And once that realization comes in, I don't see capital as a major issue in a city that is growing at this speed in the future. And whatever I could do in bringing people together and having these very informal conversations and kind of educating them the advantages of investing, etc., I'll definitely do that.
Well, thank you. That's quite encouraging for the ecosystem and its future ahead. From your perspective, what are the biggest challenges or trends that you're seeing in the markets, and what need you believe needs to be addressed at the moment?
So there are like in terms of our business models, Gen AI is the word that that anywhere you turn, you hear about it. Obviously, the technology itself has unbelievable potential. It is going to change the way we live and breathe and talk to each other, engage the world, and so on and so forth. But I think in next 5 to 7 years, biggest success out of this technology and existing technology will come from rewiring
Mm.
and refreshing existing business processes, whether they are in the back end of manufacturing, building, and supply chain of those products and services to consumer, um, and the deep research that gets into building next gen medicine or next gen technology that helps make our travel safer and better, and those use cases, that the deep tech aspect of it, those are the two distinct investments that will are use cases that will attract a lot of investment, which is already happening.
Mm.
The first part is something that I can intuitively relate to and focus on investing with a very optimistic and opportunistic look at the deep tech that exists here, right? So we are going to focus on those two.
What are the challenges that you see the startup founders facing today, and how do you think an investor such as Aviro Capital can help them navigate those hurdles?
I mean, if you look for books and articles that are written on this topic, you can fill this entire room. So I don't want to come across as reinventing anything, but whatever I learned in my career observing others, and whatever I learned in last 7+ years of building Gati, there are really 2-3 things that sets I would say a happy investor apart from the others. I'm not going to promise it's successful because it depends on so many other factors. But a joyful, a happy investor always play to their strengths and their team strengths. If you have as a founder, if you are good at something, and if you are building a business around that strength that you have, and you have the ability to attract right talent around you, those two itself will set you apart already. In my opinion, you are like 70% there in your journey. And then after that, it is about the idea itself, it is about the solution itself, whether you are ahead of the curve in your solution or you are behind the solution, the market placement, the competitive analysis, the proper an MBA class that teaches you. So all that still matters. But the fundamental thing is having a strength of your own and your ability to build an excellent team with similar strengths around you. Those two sets a joyful entrepreneur apart, I think.
That's great insight. So besides Aviro Capital, you're involved in several other initiatives like the Hive and several philanthropic activities. Could you share more about those efforts, and what's the drive for you, for passion for them?
I think no. So for some reason, coming from where I came from, a lower middle class family in Andhra here, uh, I always saw myself and a million people around me being extremely successful because they have had the opportunity to have great education. Because that's one thing that Indian society and communities get very right, right. So I always wanted to contribute others around me who who don't have access to the right education. So and help them in that regard. So wherever there are opportunities of bringing kids who don't have opportunity, our students, and providing them with the tools and resources to get education, I always help. And for many years it happened like many of us do, write a check to one person, to one student in need, kind of thing. Now through two aspects. One, there is an I got involved through Gati with an organization called Ahan in Hyderabad. So they help with a lot of kids who don't go to school, basically because both of the parents are busy doing multiple jobs, and these kids are not very well taken care of during the day. So they are supposed to be in school, but they're not. So there is an organization called, I think, VB Foundation started this, and we partner with them. So whenever I'm in the city, I make a point to go visit these schools, where the volunteers go and actually, round the kids in the morning, bring them to government schools, actually feed them their first meal or second meal, and keep them at school during the day. Sometimes it's gut wrenching to see a fifth grade student in this city, such a beautiful city, growing at at this speed, not able to write a three-letter Telugu or English word. And the similar things are happening in US with inner city kids, and kids who are not well taken care of. So Ahan here, and an organization called Boys and Girls Club of Ohio in Columbus, where I live. So I got involved, and supporting them through financial means and spending some time. However, I wanted to kind of really accelerate that through an investment, vehicle that also delivers a successful outcome to investors. So we started this a platform called Honeycomb. It's called hcomb.ai. So we are building an AI bot that speaks interactively with students, and we will have a few courses and skills that everybody can learn with human in the loop kind of mindset. There will be teachers. They take help of this AI bot, and you can really scale learning from 10 people to 1,000 students in the domain. So this is about 20-25% done so far. One of my close friends, Murli Saja from Atlanta, he's leading the effort, and we are hoping to bring our initial version to markets by June 2025. That is, in fact, one of the first investments we are making out of Ebiro, because we do feel that a small investment from us will attract more interest and more investment from other funds, and it will, the initial success of just 5 skills to 500 kids will blow up into thousands and thousands of kids and grown up students learning new skills for themselves. So that is one area about bringing learning to people who don't have access. That's where largely I'm going to focus my energy on that front. Other one is little quirky, but I always enjoy bringing in a eclectic mix of people together over very casual Friday evenings. I do that in US here. People who have from academia, from just techies and engineers, and investors, founders, from entertainment, from sports world, etc. I think a city like this, again, growing at this pace, needs a lot of platforms for people to come together and exchange ideas. Beautiful things happen when like-minded people sit together and think through and provide ideas. Not every idea will be successful, not every idea will be acted on, but as private citizens, as government bodies, as T hubs, we need to create more and more avenues where people from different backgrounds come together. So I'm going to play a role, a small role in making couple of things happen in this city. You will see a few of them coming through the next couple of years.
Oh, we sure totally look forward to that. I think you mentioned about your first investments, and they speak volumes about your thought process and how your investments are also going to be impactful for the society. Before we close this amazing episode, what would your advice for startup founders, maybe first time founders who are trying to fundraise for the first time be?
I think the investors are the right investors are always drawn towards, as I said, you as a founder and your team. If I because I built bootstrap my team and built great team around me with similar strengths, and we all approached market space and customers with those strengths. I am very biased towards focusing on teams and their strengths more than anything else. And then other very structured way of approaching that everybody learns and know in terms of product or service, their fitment in the marketplace, competitive analysis, revenue forecasts, and blah blah blah, all that we follow. So I'll keep going back to that. It is technology is ultimate team sport, and it is there's nothing that beats this. You bring people with lot of strengths, different characters, different places, and some of the team members never meet with each other because they're in 2-3 different countries, and then everybody looks at the same goal. Imagine how complex it is at that when you think about it. So having right people with right attitude is so important. I would encourage founders to focus on it. And the second point I'll make is founders, lot of times, including me, I have gone through this in first 2 years of my journey. We do fall in love with our own ideas because it's our baby. We are so close to it. We thought about it for years, and we learned so much about it. So typically, founders, as much as they, lot of founders, they also come across bit. Not very flexible. If you talk to VC investors, their number one concern is that whether once we invest in this, are the founders going to be adaptable or change ready for their future growth? I would advise founders to keep checking on themselves and see, am I falling into that trap of falling in love with a product or my own a platform so much that I'm coming across as not very flexible. So I would advise them to take a look at it. And I'll close by saying, this Darwin's theory is that it's not really the strongest or the fastest animals in the animal kingdom that survived. It is the most adaptable animals that survived. Let's remember that one more time and be extremely adaptable and flexible. Not so much that you deviate from your core business model, but within that model, adapt to the change and happy growing.
Well, thank you so much, Vamsi. That was an incredible journey. Great insights into Abiro Capital and your insights on challenges and opportunities that we have ahead of us.
Yep.
And thank you once again for being on this episode. Wish you and Abiro Capital a great success in the exciting journey ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Devi, and thanks for T-Hub team to help me come here and share my ideas. And as I said, hoping to be here and grow as a fund, but more importantly, help so many other founders realize their full potential. That's why we are here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Very nice.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.